Hey guys, I wanted to make another quick video today. I've been looking at a lot of your rosters in our Discord, and I have been noticing a distinct absence of one of the top uh, characters in the game in general, let alone, best common and all of that. And that's Armiger. You can see here, this is my Armiger build. Um, So he is built very specific for a very specific purpose. So I'm not going to talk about too much about his gear just yet, but I first want to talk generally about Armiger and what makes him so special. So right out the gate, we look at his skills. On his A1 attack, he has a chance, 100% chance, to decrease the turn meter by 30% as long as it's critical. That's easy to achieve. You throw him in some crit rate gloves, you're already, if it's a 6-star, you're already 60% there. You need 40% crit rate from other items. I mean, that's not even crazy high rolls. Look, his chest doesn't even have crit rate. None of these items have crit rate except for the shield. Plus, you get, in masteries, you get 5 crit rate right there as well, right? Right, this one, right? Yeah, let's go to masteries. Yeah, crit rate right there, 5%. So you're already 65% of the way there. You only need 35% additional crit rate on your remaining items. That's pretty easy to achieve. On top of that, he's a defense-based champion. So he's easy to keep alive versus some other champions that are harder to keep alive. I know when I first got my Cold Heart, I was super excited about Cold Heart, and I started putting her in the content because I had pushed to high end content, and she just kept dying and dying and dying. She's a little harder to gear out in the early game because she's so squishy. With Armiger being a defense based champion, he's easy to keep alive. So I kind of wanted to talk about that. In general, what makes Armiger so good? Oh, another thing that makes him good. This is something that I'm noticing across a lot of the accounts in the clan, is that you guys see a legendary, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but it's common. It was common for me too. And you go, ooh, shiny. That's my focus now. I'm gonna go do that. If I was making a new free to play account, my first my first 6-star is gonna be my starter champion, and my second 6-star is probably gonna be an Armiger because I know I'm going to use him, and he's easy to get. And he's also easy to book because you don't need books at all. All you need are more Armigers. And Armiger, I don't think he's technically farmable, right? But he's extremely common out of mystery shards, and he does sell in the market. So you can buy him in the market. I go through Armigers like crazy. I don't think I have any other Armigers currently as food because I'm at the point now where I feed them. But, I'm honestly considering having a second Armiger for the specific for the specific piece of content that I'm about to show you guys as well. But please don't sleep on Armiger. Now, I have him in a destroy set for a very specific purpose. I use him on Scarab Boss. And the destroy set destroys the max HP that cycles through his, decreases his defenses and makes him easier to kill. So I don't need any HP destroy champions. I can just use Armiger, who's a free champion, right? Now, and because he's so easy to get and he's so easy to book, you can have multiples on here. I'm specific. I just said it, but I want a second Armiger for my for farming my Dark Fae, and I want to do it. The reason I want a second Armiger is so I can put him in some different gear. I would want him to be much faster than the current Armiger. My current Armiger setup is a little bit slower. Not anything crazy, but he is a little bit slower than I would prefer at 186 speed. I mean, I know I can get him up into the 200s and get him multiple turns, or even in a relentless set too. That way he can just keep decreasing that turn meter of the Dark Fae. And you'll see why, because my Dark Fae team is not perfect. So this is kind of a two-part video. So the first one I wanted to talk about, you guys are sleeping on Armiger. I use him in many of my compositions. If we go to dungeons, I know I'm using him in Fire Knight. I only farm 20. I don't go beyond that, but here he is right here. Seer to nuke the waves, Valk for counterattacks and for decrease turn meter, and Cold Heart for decreased turn meter as well. And, Pythian keeps them alive. He's really good in Ice Golem because he can potentially, I don't use him, but you can potentially make it because he blocks revive on his A2. That's the other thing too, guys. If you're just putting him in places and throwing him on auto, you're misusing him. It's going to sound crazy because this is an enemy max HP ability. Well, let me rephrase this a bit. If you want enemy max HP damage, this ability right here is your answer. This ability hits really hard, okay? I want decreased turn meter. So I would actually turn this off so that all he does is decrease the turn meter of the enemy. Just nonstop. He's just reducing their turn meter, giving me more turns to go. But if you do need that damage as well, you can turn this on. Now, it does give a block revive if he kills someone with it, with the ability, which is what makes it valuable in Ice Golem. But when it's on auto, almost never does that hit on one of the minions, right? So I wouldn't worry too much about trying to do that. I mostly use him for turn meter reduction. But I also don't farm a lot of Ice Golem because why would you? The main thing that you want out of him is that turn meter reduction. But the max HP damage is very valuable too, and you can use him early game in places where that can be an asset to you. He's also a spirit-based champion, so you could use him in things like the force keep, or actually, honestly, you could use him pretty much anywhere. And I mean it when I say that he would be my second focus on a free-to-play account because I know I'm going to use him, and he's very easy to gear and book out versus some other champions that I might want to do. Now, is he going to get turn meter reduction in every fight? No, but that enemy max HP, he will get value out of that. You just need to get him crit capped and then get him a bunch of crit damage, kind of like you do with a Cold Heart. So there's definitely options to use him. Now, I wanted to show you the second part of this video. So this is Doom Tower Hard. What I did this season for Doom Tower Hard is I farmed my way up to Dark Fae so that I could farm her. Now, this has been my progression for weeks now, and I will admit it has not been going well. I have been waiting to put a lot of books in, which I did today, this week because of Clan v Clan, right? We talked about in the previous video. So I was able to book out Lady Kimmy more and get this to be a more consistent team. I also just rebuilt my Cold Heart in a reflex set. Oops. Oh, I don't want to do that. So I rebuilt my Cold Heart in a reflex set. We'll look at that build real quick because this is also a video about how to beat Dark Fae. So the reason I have her in the reflex set is so I can reset the cooldown and get Heartseeker more often. I'm not worried about HP. I'm not worried about any of her other abilities. I have her really, really high crit damage, and her crit limit is only 70% for her ability. So this is what we want, 72%, and then really high crit damage so that her HP based attack, not HP based, enemy max HP based attack hits hard. You also need a lot of accuracy in order to get the turn meter reduction to apply. So we've got her built very well, and I was able to swing it using the optimizer in reflex gear. I did drop her HP by quite a bit, which makes her probably less viable for my Fire Knight team. But honestly, this is my focus, and what I would farm Fire Knight for is honestly what I'm currently farming Dark Fae for. So it's a fair trade-off for me, and I'll probably get more Cold Hearts in the future. So I have gotten this semi-consistent now with some of the changes that I've made. And I'll go over the rest. Oh, nope, that's not the team I wanted, so we're going to back out. So this is the team I want. So I want Arbiter. And I'll kind of go over the concepts of the team as we get through it. Now, a couple of things I want to point out for you guys. I do manual this fight. If I did this on auto, it is not going to succeed. And already, because it accidentally autoed at the start, it's kind of screwed up my normal rotation here. But that's okay. We're going to get everything down real early here. And it's not really going to be a problem. So, a couple of things about when you want to fight Dark Fae. You need to have all of your abilities, not all of, but the abilities that you want in the correct sequence available for you when you fight the Dark Fae. If you don't have the right abilities off cooldown, you're just going to fail. So, for example, I need her A2 and her A3 off cooldown. Guess what I'm not going to use on the waves right now? A2 and A3. I don't... Well, there's a more secret trick to this. I don't want this on cooldown when I'm fighting Dark Fae because I don't want my reflex to affect it. But if it is on cooldown, it's not the end of the world. So now, because the order of my rotation got a little screwed up here, I am a little bit off the mark on some of my abilities. So I would normally slow these guys with Lady Kimmy's A2. That's my opener. That's not going to happen this time because her cooldowns are messed up. If I go to use it now, it's going to be too late. So I'm probably going to take a little bit of damage here. If it fails, I'll start over, take it off auto, and show you guys how it would properly go. Now, I just worked my way down left to right. There's no rhyme or reason to that. It's literally just easiest for me to focus down in that direction. I don't worry too much about anything else. So we're not going to take any damage here other than the damage when you kill this guy. I don't care that he gets that ability off. We're not worried about that. We're not really worried about trying to put debuffs on him. So once we kill him, he will explode, basically, and do damage to my whole team. There it was. And then you just come in and you kill him again. The damage he does isn't that much. It's usually healed up by the time you get to the main fight. So you'll see we're almost max health. Elhain's a little bit low. That's Supreme Elhain, by the way. All right, so the first thing I do is boost my team. Couple of things that are important about this. I give my team plus attack, which means my Elhain will hit harder. I also give them a speed boost, so they will take their turns before the enemy. So now Lady Kimmy is second in my rotation. I want her to be second. She now decreases the turn meter and puts a slow on the enemy team. Now this is why I have Supreme Elhain. Supreme Elhain has an A3 that nukes and will one-shot most champions. It one-shots my Arbiter. That's important. My A2 would not kill my Arbiter because you can see my Arbiter has a huge amount of HP. Now the argument is, well, why don't you run your Arbiter with less HP? Because Arbiter is one of my main characters in PvP, and having her with a lot of HP helps me out in PvP. So I don't want to sacrifice one area for another. Therefore, I have to work around that and find a character that can one-shot Arbiter and then kill the entire enemy team. Now, part of the reason that Elhain can do that is because she has plus attack. I don't have any decreased defense, and I don't have any other plus attack on the team, so that's where Arbiter comes in handy over other champions. So now, the whole purpose, the whole goal, is to make sure that Dark Fae takes as few turns as possible. So you notice I used my A1 there to decrease her turn meter, and now we're going to use Heartseeker. Boom, turn meter down to half. I'm going to come in here next. We're going to decrease the turn meter again. Now this ability I use... it does remove buffs. That's not really why I use it. I use it for the speed on my champions to make them go faster. That way they can potentially get more turns. I could use my A2 from Arbiter there. I just don't because I like the chance to get a weaken on her. Again, I'm only using Armiger for turn meter, so I bring him in there. I do not use the A2 on Cold Heart because I want Reflex to reduce the cooldown of this. You'll see the cooldown's currently 3. We use the A1. We come in. We get a little bit of turn meter reduction with Lady Kimmy's A1. We try to go for the weaken again. We don't get it. Elhain just comes in with her A1 because that's all she has. So now they steal my Elhain. This right here is the weakest part of this setup. So I come in with later rest. That I'm not doing it because I don't want her to be revived. That doesn't matter. I'm doing that ability because it hits harder. I need to try and kill Elhain before she gets a turn. I might not be able to do that. I got lucky. Notice none of those spears went off. That is purely luck, and that is the biggest weakness to this build are those fears. With the way that I have my team set up, I don't have any counter to that fear. I'm going to use the highest possible Elhain ability. Now you'll see this was 3 turns ago. Or 2 turns ago it said 3-turn cooldown. It is already reset because of the reflex gear. So we come in, huge turn meter reduction, and obviously huge 108 or 180,000, 108,000 damage there. So she is what's doing all my damage and all my turn meter reduction. So by putting that gear on her, that makes it so she gets her cooldown more often, helps me burn down this boss much faster, and keeps the turn meter down, which is the key to this fight. Because you don't want them, anytime she steals my Elhain, I'm opened up to a potential wipe. And it's possible you'll get to see that. I hope not, but it is possible you'll get to see it. Again, still using the A1 on Armiger, the main reason being just to try and keep that turn meter down. So 2 turns left on the cooldown for Cold Heart. Let's see if that reflex gear comes in handy. I'm always using Arbiter's speed ability. That's just so it boosts my turn meter and obviously increases the damage that I deal by like Elhain and I think Lady Kimmy. I think Lady Kimmy's attack based. There we go. I applied the weaken. Now look at that. Now see, I said 2 turns left. It's already off cooldown. That's huge. Look at that chunking down that she gets. Armiger is just, with his current build, is just buying me time between Cold Heart strikes. And that's the whole point of Armiger. It's just to buy me more time. So here we're going to put a slow on her. Having a slow on her means that her turn meter refills slower every time we back it down. Because, you need turn meter control combined with speed reduction is very important. If you just have turn meter control, eventually you're going to okay, now this is a problem. So I have to be very careful here. I need to revive Elhain. It has to happen, but I'm feared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to A1. All right. If I would have used that ability, because it's true fear, it would have put the A3 on cooldown, and I would never have been able to revive the Elhain. Okay. So you got to be careful when you're in that situation. So now I just waited 1 turn. I revive her. I boost my team. She's alive, and we're back to normal. Okay. This is why you need to manual. If I was on auto, I probably just would have instant failed this fight. So we're going to keep going here, use the most powerful ability to nuke her down. And you guys know how powerful of a nuker Elhain is. She only did 49k there. I am going to waste some turn meter reduction here and show you something that is important. And this is a good time to do it. So I do want to, because I've been talking about Armiger. Okay, now normally I wouldn't do this, but I wanted to show you the kind of damage Armiger can do. 66k. Okay, and I'm sure you're thinking, 66k, that's not a lot. This is her A1 did, Supreme Elhain's A1 did 30,000. Her A2 does 40,000. He did 20,000 more damage than one of the best nukers in the game. She's not in Savage Gear or anything, but still, these are important things to remember about Armiger, is that he does hit hard. Okay, so this is I'm going to let you guys know now, this is probably going to be a wipe. Okay, so, yeah, there's that. Yep, okay, so it's definitely going to be a wipe. I have to use this ability. I don't get it off. Okay, and we don't have the, yeah, so it is a wipe. The fears, I'm telling you, the fears are the biggest weakness for me. Now, there are definitely other champions that exist out there that can negate some of the fear problems that I have with my composition, but this is the team that I have right now, and this is the team I have to work with, so I have to figure out ways to make it work. Is it 100%? No, it's not. but it is consistent enough that I'm able to farm the Dark Fae. Now, why do I want to farm the Dark Fae? Well, Dark Fae gives me lethal uh, gear, lethal pieces, whatever you want to call this, fragments, artifacts. I don't know what you want to call it, but and lethal gear is incredibly strong. You get plus 10% crit rate, and then you ignore 25% of enemy defense. It's just a pure, flat out upgrade over Savage. And that's great for PvP. So, farming Dark Fae is very important for PvP because you want, and well, any nukers really, because you still want that same gear to be on even your PvE nukers, because ignoring defense is extremely important to doing a lot of damage. So that is why Dark Fae is so valuable and why I want to farm her. So this is the team I built up to farm her. But again, the key takeaways from this video are don't sleep on Armiger. And I mean it, guys. Turn meter reduction is not something that's easy to come by. And sure, you might get an allure, but until you do, because I don't have one, so until you get one yourself, you need Armiger. Allure, of course, is the queen of turn meter reduction. So she attacks 3 times, and each critical does 25% reduction. Well, Armiger hits 1 time and does 30%. So you can clearly see how Allure is just better, right? But she is not, like I don't have her, and I've been pulling for her a lot, and I'm just not lucky enough to get her. So those are the things that you need to keep in mind and understand why Armiger is so valuable. So that's about it for the video today. If you guys have any questions or comments about Arbiter or how he could help impact your team, let me know in the Discord or post in the comments of this video, and I will see you all next time.